Coming in at the moment, global terrorist Masood Azhar has been also designated international terrorist by the United Nations. This was an outstanding issue for a long time. France, UK and United States had moved the proposal, but China was the nation that had blocked it so far. But the big news coming in at this moment is that Masood Azhar has been designated as international terrorist by the United Nations Security Council. And my colleague Abhishek is joining us with more updates on the story. Abhishek, a long pending development, news coming in from the United Nations. Masood Azhar is no longer going to be free. He is going to be a designated international terrorist. Give us more information on this.
Of course, Shivendu, this is something that India was waiting for very long time. And it was quite, on everybody's expectation ever since last day. Yesterday only, when Chinese foreign ministry had softened its stance on designating Masood Azhar in UN sanction list, it was said that we have made positive progress on the discussions, and everybody's idea of terrorism or everybody's consensus on this matter should be something of very importance. And we know that all the four members of United Nations Security Council were very much on board to designate Masood Azhar in United Nations terrorist list, except China. So once China has softened its stand on Masood Azhar, it was way more easier for United Nations to go ahead with its sanctioning in 1267.
Right, Abhishek. Also, can you give us some more updates on the kind of change that China had to introduce? Because we know that there was international unanimity as far as designated Masood Azhar as a global terrorist was concerned. You mentioned China had been putting on the block. What changed its stance, and how big a victory for India and the international community in diplomatic terms?
Shivendu, we have been following this case for in a couple of months, especially ever since that Pulwama attack has happened, and India's outreach to world community, especially United Nations Security Council members and other neighboring countries. India has been able to convey the world that it has been the one country who has been suffering from the terrorism foremost, and that one terrorism is being exported from none other than a neighboring country, Pakistan. And Masood Azhar is one of the living examples who, despite all accusations, so many facts, so many evidences having been provided to Pakistan in order to ensure that he should be taken to jail or he should be punished, Pakistan has not been acting on this case. And it was very well understood by the world community, and that is how three or four countries in United Nations Security Council agreed to sponsor this whole issue of banning, Masood Azhar under United Nations Security Council.
Right, Abhishek, also simplify for us, in real terms, what does it mean for a person to be designated as international terrorist? What kind of sanctions will Masood Azhar and his terror organization, Jaish-e-Mohammed, face in Pakistan now?
See, now there are two very important things that is going to be followed after this unit designation list. First, all his banking activities, all his sponsoring activities worldwide will have to be stopped, because no member countries of United Nations who abide by the United Nations Charter would be able to, allow any banking operation or, money or funding activities of Maulana Masood Azhar. Also, now Pakistan will have a strong, a strong problem, a strong crisis to have a face saving, because Pakistan is one country who has been, and who has been very much trying hard so that Maulana Masood Azhar would not be, put under this sanction list, because it ensures that in world communities that Pakistan is one country who has been harboring so many terrorists. Ever since we have known that Osama bin Laden was killed in Abbottabad, and after that, so many terrorists have been captured in Pakistan or on the bordering areas of Pakistan, Afghanistan. So Pakistan's, cohort or Pakistan's activities has not been very clear or very. Its relation with the terrorist organization has long been suspected, and now once more, when Masood Azhar will be under the UN sanctions list, Pakistan will have a huge diplomatic crisis to save its face when it says that it is also one of the countries who has been victim of the terrorism, and he wants to be one of the member country to fight against terrorism worldwide.
Right, Abhishek, request you to stay with us while we go across to my colleague Amritpal Singh, who's gathering more updates on this. Amrit, big diplomatic win for India. United Nations declares Masood Azhar as a global terrorist. Also tell us the agenda that India had of isolating Pakistan on the issue of terrorism. How significantly is that issue, that agenda achieved today?
Well, yes, it's a major victory, a major diplomatic victory. India had been trying hard for this. In the past 10 years itself, this was the fourth such bid at the UN SC to designate Masood Azhar as a terrorist. He heads the Jaish-e-Mohammed. He lives in Pakistan. India has been bringing this up bilaterally with Pakistan, exposing Pakistan at the multilateral fora, but Pakistan has not heeded. And finally, in 2009 itself, India had moved the UN for designating him as Masood Azhar as a terrorist. Jaish-e-Mohammed is already a proscribed organization. So, as the head of the blacklisted organization under the Council's 1267 Al-Qaeda Sanctions Committee, India had moved this in 2009 to designate Azhar. In 2016, again, India moved the proposal with P3, that's the United States, United Kingdom, and France, at this 1267 committee. Again, in January 2016, India had moved it. Later in the year, India moved it. In 2017, the P3 nations moved a similar proposal because India is not a permanent member of the Security Council, as you know. On all occasions, China had sort of vetoed or put on technical hold this proposal from being adopted. Today, with China, not vetoing it, and China, because all 5 members, they have a veto, so even if one of them does not agree, it does not go through. Right. Now, with China coming around and seeing India's point, I think it is a big diplomatic victory for India, which, and a sustained one, which took a sustained effort at that.
Also, Amrit, this historic change in China's position, as you and Abhishek also mentioned earlier, a number of occasions when it was China's veto vote that prevented the global organization in designated Masood Azhar as a global terrorist, as an international terrorist. Now that China has changed its stand, what are the implications for its all-weather ally Pakistan, which almost took a cover under China's veto vote in protecting Masood Azhar?
Let me first clear the technicality on that. They had technically put it on hold. They had not exercised a veto, but they could exercise a veto. So they had technically put it on hold, saying we need more information to prove that he indeed is involved in terrorist activities in India.
But as of now, in absence of a veto by China, is UN able to announce Masood Azhar as an international terrorist officially?
He's designated as an international terrorist now. So that means China has gone along. It has chose its right. It's chose to designate him as a global terrorist. Now he's prescribed on the 1267 Al-Qaeda sanctions list, which now coming to the implications, Shubhendu. Implications of it are it means asset freezes on him. It means travel ban on him. It means cutting down on funding on him. Nobody can directly or indirectly fund him. That would go against. It also puts Pakistan being a member of the United Nations. It puts it's incumbent now on Pakistan to ensure that all this happens in their country. So the international community's pressure, including its all-weather friends, China's pressure, would have Pakistan to be at least seen as doing something. We know, Hafiz Saeed is in Pakistan. They haven't done much. The world knows, but if they do not do it, they will have to be seen as doing it. One, and secondly, if they do not do it, the world will see through the duplicity. And when they make that argument, that we are ourselves victims of terror. So the world will it's up on the table now that. You run with the hare and you hunt with the hounds. Right. While you say you are victims of terror, but you also use terror as an instrument of state policy.
Right, Amrit, stay with us for a moment while we just inform our viewers about the tweet that has come up a short while ago. India's ambassador and permanent representative to the United Nations, Syed Akbaruddin, in a tweet message has said, big, small, all joined together. Masood Azhar designated as a terrorist at the United Nations sanctions list. He says, grateful to all for their support. That's a tweet coming in from permanent representative from India at the United Nations. He said, big, small, all joined together. Masood Azhar designated as a terrorist in the UN sanctions list. Grateful to all for the support. Amrit, I'll come back to you again. Now, diplomatic victory aside, on strategic terms, we know that India has been the target continuously of terrorism and terrorists emanating from Pakistan, Jaish-e-Mohammed for that matter. Tell us how significant is this development?
If we expect the terrorism emanating out of Pakistan will stop, that will be too far-fetched because, their deep state, their military establishment runs their foreign policy, and terrorism, especially anti-India and anti-Afghanistan terrorism, is inbuilt. It's an instrument.
Amrit, I'll hold you for a moment. Former diplomat Vivek Karju is joining us at this moment. Mr. Karju, thank you very much for speaking to DD News. How do you see this development coming up? Masood Azhar designated as international terrorist by the UN.
I think this is a very significant diplomatic achievement on India's part. It has been the culmination of an effort that has gone on for 10 long years. The Chinese have been finally persuaded to lift the lock that they had imposed on Masood Azhar's designation on account of their interests in Pakistan. But they've now realized that that move, which was last shown on March 14th or March 13th, is proving to be counterproductive for them. I think I personally trace all this back to the Balakot strike,
right,
which showed to the international community that India's approach to terrorism emanating from Pakistan, which had begun to change with the surgical strikes, was now finally getting solidified, and therefore the international community decided that a signal has to be sent to Pakistan that it can't play these terrorist games anymore.
Right,
the Chinese
Mr. Karju,
too have realized this.
Also, keeping in mind that the international community had a consensus against Masood Azhar for a long time, and it was China's veto vote that prevented the step that has been taken today. What do you think led to China's change in position?
I think a combination of factors. One, of course, is India's continuous persuasion that it was taking the wrong step, but also the pressure brought about by the United States, their allies, France and the UK. And they also realized that if this matter was taken as the US and its allies were telling them that they would to the UN Security Council floor, then they would be completely isolated on this question of international terrorism, and they will be exposed. Their nexus with Pakistan will be exposed. So I think finally it was a combination of these factors which led China to change course.
Right, sir. And finally, how big a blow do you think it is on terrorism emanating from the Pakistani soil, considering Jaish-e-Mohammed, the chief Masood Azhar, has been the principal terrorist organization targeting India on different occasions?
Look, if we go by the example of how the Pakistanis have played the Hafiz Saeed designation,
yes,
we should not hope that they will, because of this step, try to curtail the activities of Masood Azhar.
Okay.
We must realize that these groups like the Lashkar and the Jaish are their strategic assets, and therefore they will continue to use these assets against India.
So how will the international pressure act now? I mean, this designation, how will that act on Pakistan?
No, I think this again confirms Pakistan's position as an epicenter of terrorism.
Okay.
So they will be again under the international microscope. They also have to be mindful that the economic situation is very difficult, and the FATF pressures are also there. So all this combined will make them keep a low level of activity.
Okay.
But as they've always calibrated activity, I don't think that they will abandon this, but they will calibrate the activity.
In such a case, sir, what will be the way forward for India from here on?
The way forward will be as we've done in the past, to keep the pressure on, to keep the spotlight on Pakistan and its involvement in terror, and to make it plain to the international community that the Balakot strike was not a one-off action, that India's strategic patience has ended, and that we now, as the Foreign Secretary had said on the day of the Balakot strike, we have now put in a doctrine that of preemption, which is that once we see that a major terrorist action against India is being planned in Pakistan, on the territory of Pakistan, we reserve the right to take such action, to prevent such an action as we deem fit, to keep the pressure on, to maintain this doctrine and to proclaim it.
Right, and the international community in different ways, particularly the United States in the recent time, had really cornered Pakistan over the issue of terrorism. Now, this particular announcement coming in from the United Nations, do you think it will add further momentum to the international unity that has been formed against the issue of terrorism in our neighborhood?
We have to first analyze why has the international community at this juncture stood behind us.
Right.
Why did they not do so for the last 30 years? And to that, my answer is because of the Balakot strike, and before that, the surgical strike. A new doctrine has been put that we will not only respond through political means and diplomatic means. We will take kinetic action if such action is demanded to prevent terrorism and to act against terrorism. I think the international community has realized that India means business, and therefore we've got to maintain this. It can't be a one-off thing.
Right.
We must take the right lessons from all that has happened after the Pulwama strike of February 14th. Unless we draw the right lessons, we will not be able to sustain this. It's been an achievement on our part, but achievements have to be sustained.
All right, there, Mr. Karju, appreciate you joining us with those inputs. Our expert and former diplomat Vivek Karju giving us inputs about his insights into this big development. Masood Azhar designated as the international terrorist, and he mentioned that one of the key factors in this achievement in China's softening stand and not vetoing the position has been India's proactive action against terrorists and terrorism. And the Balakot strikes, the former diplomat mentioned, has been one of the key aspects in changing the worldview over this particular issue. My colleague Sudhakar is now joining us on phone line. Sudhakar, what updates are you tracking at this hour? And if you can brief us on what was the procedure that was really, okay, you're joining us on Hot Switch. What are the procedures that were followed at the United Nations till this big news came in?
जी बिल्कुल सीधे तौर पर सबसे पहले शुभेंदु बहुत बड़ी डिप्लोमेटिक जीत है भारत के लिए, और खास तौर से आतंक के मोर्चे पर एक पूरी दुनिया में भारत ने एक जो मुहिम चलाई हुई है, जो एक लड़ाई भारत खुद लड़ रहा है, उस मोर्चे पर एक बहुत बड़ी जीत है। और निश्चित तौर पर इसका एक आने वाले समय में कह सकते हैं बहुत बड़ा असर रहेगा। हमको पता है कि संयुक्त राष्ट्र में इसको लेकर बहस चल रही थी सुरक्षा परिषद में। पिछली बार मार्च में इसको लेकर प्रस्ताव आया था, P3 कंट्री US, यूके और फ्रांस की तरफ से ये प्रस्ताव आया था। तब चीन की तरफ से कहा जा सकता है कि एक तरह से टेक्निकल होल्ड लगाया गया था और उस पर वो जवाब तलब कर रहे थे। लेकिन पिछले दिनों जब विदेश सचिव चीन की यात्रा पर गए थे, उस दौरान जब वो संकेत चीन की तरफ से जब आ रहे थे, चीन ने जब ये कहा कि इस बात का उचित समाधान निकाला जाएगा, तो ये जरूर लग रहा था कि इस ओर एक बड़ा कदम उठाया जाने वाला है। और निश्चित तौर पर एक तरह से जो कह सकते हैं मोदी सरकार की और भारत सरकार की एक बहुत बड़ी डिप्लोमेटिक जीत मानी जाएगी, क्योंकि पिछले कई वर्षों से साल 2009 में पहली बार इस तरह का एक प्रस्ताव संयुक्त राष्ट्र सुरक्षा परिषद के सामने आया था। उसके बाद से इस साल ये चौथा ये प्रस्ताव था। अगर इस बार अगर ये प्रस्ताव अगर खारिज होता तो सीधे संयुक्त राष्ट्र सुरक्षा परिषद में ये वोट के लिए जाता। हो सकता है चीन अगर इसको रोकना चाहता तो वीटो तक का उसको उपयोग करना पड़ सकता था। तो इस तरह की तमाम स्थितियां बनती जा रही थी, लेकिन भारत पूरी दुनिया को, न सिर्फ चीन को बल्कि पूरी दुनिया को यह समझाने में सफल रहा कि मसूद अजहर न सिर्फ भारत के लिए बल्कि पूरी दुनिया के लिए खतरा है। जिस तरह से पुलवामा सहित तमाम हमलों में जैश ए मोहम्मद का हाथ रहा है, जैश ए मोहम्मद जिस तरह से आतंकियों को पालता पोसता है, जिस तरह से जैश ए मोहम्मद को एक बड़े स्तर पर हथियारों के जरिए, पैसों के जरिए मदद पहुंच रही है, उन तमाम चीज़ों को रोकने के लिए उसको एक डेजिग्नेटेड टेररिस्ट बनाना जरूरी है। और डेजिग्नेटेड टेररिस्ट का मतलब यह है कि अब इसकी तीन मतलब सीधे हो सकता है शुभेंदु। सबसे पहला तो उसके जो सारे एसेट्स हैं वो फ्रीज किए जाएंगे। इसका यह मतलब है कि जो संयुक्त राष्ट्र संघ के जो तमाम देश हैं जैश ए मोहम्मद से जुड़े हुए या फिर उसको सहयोग देने वाले जो तमाम संस्थाएं हैं उसके एसेट्स फ्रीज करने का उनके पास अधिकार रहेगा। ना किसी तरह का लेन देन जैश ए मोहम्मद या उससे जुड़ी हुई संस्थाओं से नहीं हो सकेगा। तो एक बहुत बड़ा ये बैन रहेगा। इसके अलावा ट्रैवल बैन होता है। जैश ए मोहम्मद का ये मुखिया मसूद अजहर अब किसी तरह का जो यूएन के कंट्रीज हैं वहाँ किसी तरह का दौरा नहीं कर सकता, जा आ नहीं सकता। तो ये एक बड़ा बैन होगा। उसके अलावा तीसरा जो बैन होगा, आर्म्स की किसी तरह की डील इसके संगठन या इससे जुड़े हुए संगठनों से नहीं हो सकती है। तो एक तरह से पूरी तरह से एक बड़ा शिकंजा दुनिया के देशों की तरफ से जैश ए मोहम्मद पर, मसूद अजहर पर अब ये कसा जाएगा। और अब ये कह सकता है कि सीधे ये नहीं कहा जा सकता कि पाकिस्तान किस तरह से रिएक्ट करेगा, लेकिन अब उस और स्थिति बढ़ती हुई जरूर दिखाई दे रही है कि इस बड़ी डिप्लोमेटिक जीत के बाद कि अब पाकिस्तान को दिखावे के लिए सही एक बड़ी कार्रवाई मसूद अजहर के खिलाफ करनी पड़ेगी।
Right, Sudhakar, it is also being said that India's proactive and aggressive stance on terrorism, the case in point at the surgical strike or the Balakot strike that happened recently, how do you see the way in which India has transformed the narrative in the manner in which you take on terrorism in the recent times, the way India has changed that narrative? How do you see today's development also an important milestone in that?
जी बिल्कुल। और आपने देखा होगा शुभेंदु, सिर्फ बालाकोट की बात ही नहीं है, उड़ी की घटना के बाद जिस तरह से भारत ने दुनिया को बताया कि ना सिर्फ आतंकवाद को अच्छे और बुरे के बीच बांटने की जरूरत नहीं है, स्टेट स्पॉन्सर्ड नॉन स्टेट एक्टर्स के बीच बांटने की जरूरत नहीं है, बल्कि आतंकवाद आतंकवाद होता है, आतंकवाद का एक ही चेहरा होता है, भयानक चेहरा होता है, मानवीयता के खिलाफ होता है। तो ये भारत बताने में कहीं ना कहीं पिछले अगर 3-4 वर्षों में बहुत ज़्यादा सफल रहा। और चाहे उड़ी के बाद जो पहला फर्स्ट सर्जिकल स्ट्राइक हमने किया या फिर इस वक्त पुलवामा के बाद जो एक कड़ा प्रहार बालाकोट में जाकर एयर स्ट्राइक किया गया भारत की तरफ से, तो वो एक बलशाली चेहरा, शक्तिशाली चेहरा भारत का दिखाई दिया कि आतंक के खिलाफ इस मुहिम में हम अकेले लड़ाई जरूर लड़ेंगे, लेकिन दुनिया को अगर आतंक के खिलाफ मुक्त करना है तो दुनिया को साथ मिलकर खड़ा होना होगा। और उसके बाद बालाकोट के बाद आपने देखा कि जिस तरह के रिएक्शंस आए तमाम मुल्कों की तरफ से, चाहे वो P5 कंट्रीज हो, संयुक्त राष्ट्र सुरक्षा परिषद के सदस्य हो, तो दुनिया के तमाम देश हो, खाड़ी के देश हो या फिर कोई और भी देश हो, इस्लामी मुल्क हो या किसी और धर्म को मानने वाले मुल्क हो, तो तमाम देशों की तरफ से भारत को समर्थन मिला, सहयोग मिला आतंकवाद के खिलाफ इस लड़ाई में। और ये अचानक से नहीं हुआ है, ये भारत की विदेश नीति का जो एक एक्टिव स्वरूप जो दिखा है, जो एक्टिविज्म जो दिखा है पिछले 3-4 वर्षों में। और जिस तरह से, क्योंकि आप देखिए एक साथ ही एक ही दौरे पर जब इजराइल भी भारत के प्रधानमंत्री जा सकते हैं और फिलिस्तीन का भी दौरा कर सकते हैं, तो ये एक जो बैलेंसिंग एक्ट भारत ने विदेश नीति को किसी पुराने चश्मे से पढ़ने के बजाय एक नए चश्मे से, एक नए नजरिए से देखना शुरू किया और अपनी शर्तों के साथ आगे बढ़ना शुरू किया। तो उसका ये एक नतीजा था, नजरिया था, और ये आज की डिप्लोमेटिक विन उसी की तरफ कहीं ना कहीं इशारा करती है। शुभेंदु।
All right, Sudhakar, stay with us. Former diplomat and India's ambassador to China, Meera Shankar, is joining us also with some more insights. Ma'am, welcome to DD News. Your initial reactions on this big diplomatic win that India has secured, having Masood Azhar being designated as UN international terrorist, particularly if you can tell us what led to the softening of China's stand, according to you.
Well, I think, it's a good thing that he has been designated, because it was ridiculous that his organization, the Jaish-e-Mohammed, has been designated by the UN for a long time, but the leader of that organization is not allowed to be designated because of a block by China. I think the process which led to this is obviously an effort by India to work with China, I think by the US, France, countries like the US, France, UK, to pressurize China by threatening to take it to the UN Security Council for a resolution if the committee did not designate Masood Azhar. And perhaps China also working to convince Pakistan that, because I think for China this has been the big thing, that they don't want to put their relationship with Pakistan in jeopardy over something like this. So I think it's been a combined effort, and it's a good thing that he has been designated. But at the same time, now we have to see what Pakistan does, because so many others are designated. The Lashkar-e-Toiba is designated. The Jaish-e-Mohammed itself is designated, but these organizations continue to have a free run in Pakistan.
Right, ma'am. In the context of international law, if you can help us understand what will be the immediate impact of Masood Azhar being designated as an international terrorist, and how enforceable will that be in Pakistan?
The immediate impact is that their finances are supposed to be frozen, and the US would freeze any bank accounts, or other countries would freeze any bank accounts or others belonging to them. And they are not allowed to travel. You know, there's a travel ban and there's a ban on their finances. But in the past, you know, when Pakistan even designated these organizations just to be seen to be complying with the law, what happened was that they virtually, informed these organizations in advance, and they moved all their money out from their accounts, leaving only small quantities, and created new organizations like Falah-e-Insaniyat for the, Lashkar-e-Toiba. So you have to see, because Pakistan, basically engages in a policy of smoke and mirrors on these issues. Now we have to see if there is a more substantive move by Pakistan because of pressure from the Financial Action Task Force, that they feel that Pakistan is not taking sufficient steps, and that they made for that would be or have serious consequences for Pakistan, because it would make it more difficult for them to raise credit and finances internationally, and they are at a difficult stage of their economy with a serious balance of payments crisis. So pressure from the Financial Action Task Force, and I think the IMF, with whom Pakistan is seeking a bailout, would be essential, combined with the listing.
Right, ma'am. Also, if we talk about the factors contributing to this big development, how do you see the unprecedented and the aggressive stance that India has taken in the past couple of years, whether we talk about the surgical strike or the recent Balakot strike, where the terror hotbeds were targeted across the border? How do you see that also contributing in bringing the world together on the issue?
I think some of this is part of a continuing process. The listing, for instance, the Lashkar-e-Toiba, Jaish-e-Mohammed were listed earlier by the UN under the previous regime. So it's not something which is I would say a departure from past practice. It's a continuation, as it should be, because this is an issue, I think, on which all governments in India would work systematically. So it's a good thing, and let's hope that it leads to some substantive action by Pakistan.
All right, ma'am, there. Thank you very much for joining us with those insights and inputs over the issue. And my colleague Sudhakar continues to be with us. Sudhakar, what developments are you tracking in India at the moment with this big news coming in from the United Nations? What will be the steps and strategies that India will be working on after Masood Azhar is designated now as terrorist by the United Nations?
सिक्योरिटी काउंसिल का वो रिजोल्यूशन जिसके जरिए मसूद अजहर को डेजिग्नेटेड टेररिस्ट घोषित किया गया है, आप ये देख सकते हैं। मैं अपने कैमरा पर्सन राणा जी को कहना चाहूँगा कि वो दिखाएं आपको ये रेजोल्यूशन है, और मैं उसमें के कुछ शब्द पढ़ना भी चाहूँगा। शुरुआत में लिखा गया, इन अकॉर्डेंस विद पैराग्राफ 13 ऑफ रेजोल्यूशन 1822 अंडर पैराग्राफ 2008 एंड सब्सिक्वेंट रिलेटेड रेजोल्यूशंस, the ISIL, Daesh and Al-Qaeda Sanctions Committee makes accessible a narrative summary of reasons for the listing for individuals, groups, undertakings and entities included in the ISIL, Daesh and Al-Qaeda sanction list. QDI 422 में लिस्ट किया गया है मोहम्मद मसूद अजहर अलवी को. Date on which the narrative summary became available on the committee's website is 1st May 2019. और reason जो बताई गई, reason for listing, that is Mohammad Masood Azhar was listed on 1st May 2019 pursuant to paragraph 2 and 4 of resolution 2368 of 2070 as being associated with Al-Qaeda for participating in the financing, planning, facilitating, preparing or perpetrating of acts or activities by, in conjunction with, under the name of, on behalf of, or in support of supplying, selling or transferring arms and related materials to, recruiting for, otherwise supporting acts or activities of, and other acts or activities indicating association with जैश-ए-मोहम्मद. इसमें एडिशनल इंफॉर्मेशन ये भी दिया गया है शुभेंदु, मोहम्मद मसूद अजहर फाउंडेड जैश-ए-मोहम्मद upon his release from prison in India in 1999. Azhar was released from prison in exchange of for 155 hostages held on an Indian Airlines flight that had been hijacked to Kandahar, Afghanistan. Azhar has also financially supported JeM since its founding. The UN Security Council listed JeM on 17th October 2001 as being associated with Al-Qaeda, Osama bin Laden and Taliban for participating in financing, planning, facilitating, preparing or perpetrating of acts, activities by, in conjunction with, under the name of, on behalf or in support of supplying, selling or transferring arms and related materials to, or otherwise supporting acts or activities of Al-Qaeda, Osama bin Laden and the Taliban. ये पूरी जानकारी दी गई है, तो देख सकते हैं ये ऑफिशियली जो यूएन सिक्योरिटी काउंसिल की तरफ से जो लिस्टिंग किन कारणों से की गई है वो तमाम जानकारियां दी गई है. और ये सारी जानकारियां भी है कि जो इससे पहले वो हरकत उल मुजाहिदीन के लिए काम करता था. हरकत उल मुजाहिदीन जैश-ए-मोहम्मद के साथ ही ये डेजिग्नेटेड टेररिस्ट ऑर्गेनाइजेशन है जो बाद में हरकत उल अंसार भी बन गया था. और हमको पता है कि जो एक तरह से जैश-ए-मोहम्मद का काम जम्मू कश्मीर में खास तौर से आतंकवाद फैलाने में रहा है, लेकिन इतने तक ही वो सिमटे नहीं है. एक वक्त में मसूद अजहर ने अफगानिस्तान में जो वेस्टर्न फोर्सेस लड़ाई लड़ रही थी आतंकवादियों के खिलाफ, तो उनके खिलाफ भी लड़ाई का आह्वान किया था और लड़ाकुओं को वहां भेजा था. तो जैश-ए-मोहम्मद सिर्फ भारत में नहीं, अफगानिस्तान जैसे कई जगहों पर आतंकवाद फैला रहा है. इसलिए ये
Sudhakar, we'll continue to get inputs from you. Thanks very much for joining us for the moment. In the studio joining me is strategic expert Mr. Alok Bansal. Welcome, Mr. Bansal. How significant a day today for the international community taking a stand on terrorism and India?
It's a very significant step because it shows India's diplomatic success that China has fallen in line, because for very long...
So if I can just take a moment, former diplomat Mr. Shashank is joining us on phone line. Mr. Shashank, your thoughts on this big development coming in from the United Nations, Masood Azhar designated finally as an international terrorist. Mr. Shashank, former diplomat, is joining us phone line. Sir, please go on.
And I think this is a big that China has also agreed to go along with this idea of USA, France and UK to put pressure on Pakistan. And I'm sure that this will have a big impact on the terrorist movements which are supported by Pakistan or which are running around the city within Pakistan and also troubling the neighboring countries. The recent case was in Sri Lanka, where we found that the Pakistan-based terrorists have carried out attacks there, and they are also threatening now to set up bases in parts of India and Bangladesh.
If you also talk about India's next steps, because it is being said that even after United Nations sanction, a lot will depend on Pakistan to credibly act against Masood Azhar and Jaish-e-Mohammed. What kind of diplomatic, strategic pressure can India continue to exert on the neighbor?
Well, we will have to continue to do that. And we have recently seen that Pakistan government is conveying signals to its neighbors. For example, in talks with Iran, they have said that yes, there are terrorist groups working in Pakistan, and they would like Iran and Pakistan to work together against them. Secondly, Pakistan was present at the China PRF meeting, the Belt and Road Forum, and there I'm quite sure that this issue was discussed, that China would like to have a good behavior type of thing, and especially against terrorists who are troubling many of the developing countries. So therefore, China is putting pressure. They must have conveyed to Pakistan that this is enough is enough. They would now no longer be able to put a technical hold over Masood Azhar. So Pakistan should do something. Otherwise, Pakistan itself may come under pressure to be designated as a terrorist state. So the Financial Action Task Force will take action on this. And then the Graduate Security Council itself may start taking action against Pakistan on this.
All right, Mr. Shashank, thank you very much for joining us with those insights. Mr. Alok Bansal, I'll turn to you. Sorry for cutting you short when you were giving your thoughts. How do you see this development on the global and the Indian context?
See, it's a very significant development, and I have been expecting it for some time, because what it shows us that the only obstacle which was in India's path, that was People's Republic of China, has fallen in line, and China has accepted India's contention that Masood Azhar is a global terrorist, and that's been accepted. And we must also understand that we had already succeeded in ensuring that Jaish-e-Mohammed is designated as a terrorist organization, which we had succeeded in doing during the last BRICS summit. And after that, this sort of a stance by China was actually untenable, and to that extent there was a certain amount of anger. But this success shows that China has eventually accepted. Now there's going to be a serious restriction as far as Masood Azhar is concerned. He will not be able to travel abroad. His funding from external sources and open funding for him would be curtailed to a very great extent. But there is no doubt that eventually, if Pakistani government does not take any substantial stand, then his fate will be like Hafiz Saeed.
But that also puts Pakistan Premier Imran Khan on talk, the vision of new Pakistan that he's been talking about, where there's no scope for any terrorist organization, for any extremist, will be once again put to test when these sanctions will have to be enforced and implemented on Jaish-e-Mohammed and Masood Azhar.
See, as far as Imran Khan's Naya Pakistan is concerned, it's actually a myth. If you remember, from the time he came to power, they actually appointed an economic advisor who belonged to Ahmadiyya community, and after inviting him, he had to actually take him back. And thereafter, there have been numerous occasions when confronted with the radical hardliners, he has actually backtracked. But yes, it would put greater pressure on Imran Khan and his government at a time when the economy of Pakistan is actually tottering, and Pakistan is seeking IMF bailout to survive economically. So I think at this stage, international community can exert extreme pressure on Pakistan. And this particular step also shows that even China has a doubts as far as Pakistan's credibility is concerned, especially as far as fighting terror is concerned, because Chinese also realize that this virus can spread from Pakistan to China, courtesy CPEC and BRI and different issues.
Right, but do you think, because China is crucial to the development that has happened today, do you see that China has woken up all of a sudden to the menace of international terrorism, or do you also see India-led international diplomatic pressure has finally yielded some result?
See, I personally was very, very surprised when last time China for the fourth time actually put it on technical hold. I was expecting that China will fall in line and support the resolution.
That's the reason I asked, because
I personally felt, because China is also to some extent afflicted by radicalization and terrorism. But unfortunately, you need to understand that People's Republic of China for 7 decades has officially negated religion, and consequently their understanding of religious attractions and religion based radicalization is abysmally poor, and consequently their reaction to this sort of a thing was not as stark as it should have been. But I think it is a success of Indian diplomacy and international pressure, because I understand that even the United States of America has put a lot of pressure on China that it should do this, and this is a very, very significant victory, diplomatic victory for India, because Pakistan did not want it. Pakistan had been pestering China to hold on to this particular thing, but that has not happened, and that shows that as far as Masood Azhar and his activities are concerned, there will be severe constraints.
And you also see that as a sort of marked change in the China-Pakistan relations. I mean, Pakistan for years, for decades, has been really taking cover from China as far as really preventing international sanctions from affecting its citizens is concerned, or getting finances to sort of really make its economy survive. With this development, do you think it marks a change, a shift in the manner in which China and Pakistan work together?
See, let me be very clear. Very often what we in India perceive, the level of China-Pakistan collaboration or cooperation does not actually exist on ground. China did not provide them any aid when there was a serious fund crunch. They did park some money with the State Bank of Pakistan at an interest rate which was higher than the existing interest rate, global interest rates.
But they do present a picture of an international ally who would in all weather sort of stand by Pakistan.
See, Pakistan tries to sell it to its domestic audience that China is with it, because there is a huge disillusionment inside China, Pakistan, because people feel that on this issue of terrorism they have been cornered and they have been actually isolated. So Pakistan's government has been trying to tell its citizens that we have so many countries with us, because they know that United States has clearly started targeting Pakistan. So they want to sell it to their population that yes, China is standing by us, Turkey is standing by us, Saudi Arabia is standing by us, UAE is standing by us. But all these countries, if you see in recent past, have actually moved away from Pakistan, with the probable exception of Turkey to some extent.
And to what extent do you think India's changed stance on the issue of terrorism, that no more will it, is it going to be on the defensive? It's going to be on the offensive. It will cross borders, launch surgical strikes on terrorist hotbeds. If required, the Indian Air Force will target, like Balakot incident we all saw. To what extent do you think that also led to strengthening of the international consensus on nailing really Masood Azhar with this international terrorist designation?
See, as far as Government of India is concerned, we have followed a very, very right strategy, where we have actually said that terrorists, wherever they are globally, will be targeted. We carried out a strike at Balakot, where a large number of accomplices of Masood Azhar were eliminated. We have been targeting his supporters inside Jammu and Kashmir, and we have been actually taking this diplomatic push forward. And I think after the Balakot strike itself, we started seeing a change in Pakistan's stance. It seems as if either Masood Azhar had become ineffective, or his relevance to Pakistan had reduced considerably, because there were clear-cut signs from that time onwards that Masood Azhar is going to be designated a global terrorist, or Pakistan will have to probably drop him. And that's one of the reasons why we find that Bahawalpur, his campus, etc., has been put under high security. So we need to see what happens, and this undoubtedly is a big success of Indian diplomacy, Indian policy, and the government can rightfully take credit for this achievement.
And there is also a certain complexity. Our correspondent was saying that what has happened this time is that like the other occasions, China has not vetoed the stand taken by the UNSC. Now, how do we really decode that? Does it mean that this could change? But we're going to Union Minister Jitendra Singh's press conference. He's speaking on the issue.
व्यक्तिगत जो फॉरेन आउटरीच रही है उसका भी एक सुखद परिणाम है। आपने देखा होगा पिछले कुछ महीनों में, कुछ सालों में जिस प्रकार से प्रधानमंत्री श्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी के नेतृत्व में एक निर्णायक और स्थिर नीति रही है आतंकवाद के प्रति, आतंकवाद के खिलाफ, आतंकवाद के समर्थकों के खिलाफ, सीमा के भीतर भी सीमा के बाहर भी। भले ही वो कश्मीर घाटी में था, बड़े आतंकी नेताओं को हिरासत में लेकर के उनके ऊपर निर्णायक कार्रवाई हुई है, जांच शुरू की गई है, मुकदमे दायर किए गए हैं। सीमा के पार भी जिस प्रकार से एयर स्ट्राइक्स हुई हैं और सफलतापूर्वक, और जिस प्रकार से पर्सनल आउटरीच रही है प्रधानमंत्री मोदी की विश्व के भिन्न भिन्न नेताओं के साथ, व्यक्तिगत तौर पर चीन के नेताओं के साथ भी, उसका ये एक नतीजा है। संक्षेप में कहा जाए कि विश्व के वो राष्ट्र, वो देश जो पहले शायद भारत के दृष्टिकोण से या तो पूरी तरह सहमत नहीं थे या सहमत होकर के भी उन्हें स्वीकार करने में कुछ झिझक थी, भारत की आतंक के प्रति और पाकिस्तान के प्रति दृष्टिकोण को, आज वो भी इस स्थिति में है कि वो भारत के दृष्टिकोण को स्वीकार कर रहे हैं। पाकिस्तान पर इस प्रकार का दबाव है, शायद इस्लामाबाद को भी ये अनुभव हुआ है कि वो पुराना ज़माना जाता रहा, अब उनका वास्ता किसी और से नहीं प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी के साथ है, और इसलिए उन्हें भी जो पहले दोहरी नीति पर वो काम करते रहे इतने वर्षों तक, उसके ऊपर भी पुनर्विचार करना होगा। और साथ ही साथ अंतर्राष्ट्रीय स्तर पर संयुक्त राष्ट्र की ओर से इस प्रकार की घोषणा करना और इस प्रकार का लिखित में निर्णय लेना, मुझे लगता है कि भारत के लिए स्वतंत्रता के बाद एक बहुत बड़ा एक सफलता का कार्य हुआ है, जिससे भारत की साख बढ़ी है अंतर्राष्ट्रीय स्तर में, और भारतवासियों के मनों में और भारतवासियों का मनोबल बढ़ा है। जिस प्रकार से मोदी सरकार ने निर्णायक ढंग से हर स्तर पर आतंक के प्रति अपना एक मौक़िफ़ रखा है, उससे सेनाओं का भी मनोबल बढ़ा और सीमा पर रहने वाले लोगों का भी।
सर, पाकिस्तान ने उसको अभी कहीं हाउस अरेस्ट किया था, लेकिन उसकी बातचीत चल रही है कि कहीं इस्लामाबाद में शिफ्ट कर देंगे।
देखिए, पहले तो हमें ये ध्यान में रखना होगा कि आज से पहले पाकिस्तान या तो इस बात से इनकार ही कर देता था कि अजहर वहाँ है कि नहीं है, और जब कभी वो इस बात को कबूल करने पर मजबूर हो जाता तो फिर तरह तरह के बहाने लगाए जाते कि वो सख्त बीमार है, उसका स्वास्थ्य ठीक नहीं है। लेकिन अब ऐसी स्थिति आई है कि वो इस प्रकार की बहानेबाजी की आड़ में अपने आप को छिपा नहीं पाएगा, और कारण ये कि सारे विश्व का दबाव है और भारत, मोदी के नेतृत्व का भारत, वो कितना सक्षम है, कितना शक्तिशाली है, इसका एहसास विश्व के बाकी देशों की तरह इस्लामाबाद को और इस्लामाबाद की सरकार को भी होना लाजिम है।
जैसे मोहम्मद चीफ मसूद अजहर डिक्लेयर एज अ ग्लोबल टेररिस्ट by UNSC.
No, certainly this is a huge diplomatic victory for India, and I think the single most credit for this goes to Prime Minister Narendra Modi and his successful foreign outreach in the last 5 years. The manner in which he's followed a policy of consistent and firm approach in dealing with terrorism within the Indian territories as well as across has sent out a very decisive message across the world. And even those countries of the world which were earlier hesitant to come around to India's viewpoint or to agree with India's viewpoint as far as dealing with Pakistan or dealing with terrorism is concerned, are now constrained to accept India's viewpoint. And I think the manner in which Prime Minister Narendra Modi has personally handled and dealt with the various important world leaders, including the leaders of the China, has paid dividends. And this has sent out a loud message, and I think for the first time in the history of independent India, this has added to India's aura and India's status in the community of world nations.
Sir, Masood Azhar was put under house arrest at Bahawalpur. Has been recently shifted to safe house in Islamabad.
See, let's not forget, Pakistan and the past that we in Islamabad were actually conditioned by the earlier governments, the UP and the Congress governments, where Pakistan followed an approach of duplicity. It would say one thing, but it would not walk the talk. It's now that Pakistan is realizing that it's dealing with none else but a Prime Minister called Narendra Modi. And they have now realized the manner in which, within a few days after the Pulwama attack, India avenged that with the airstrikes. And soon after the arrest of Captain Abhinandan, the manner in which he was rescued back is itself a testimony to the departure from the earlier routine or the earlier approach which was being followed by the erstwhile UPA governments and which had emboldened Pakistan in the past, that be in Islamabad, to get away with the kind of duplicity that they were practicing. They now know that they cannot carry on the same way with India, which is headed by Prime Minister Modi, and I think that itself is a huge, huge message.
Sir, एक question कि nationalism has been a focal point of your election campaign. 4 phases have gone. Do you think this arrest will boost your nationalist campaign?
No, I think as far as the Bharatiya Janata Party is concerned and our leadership under Prime Minister Modi is concerned, there's never been a compromise on nationalism, on patriotism, on the safety, security and integrity of India. But I would agree that the manner in which this affirmation and reiteration has been put across very firmly, loudly and soundly across the world has not happened earlier. And this is being realized by each and every patriotic Indian and also being realized by the other nations of the world.
Speaking on the big development coming in from the United Nations, Masood Azhar has been designated an international terrorist, and in his address he was speaking about the leadership responsible for it. Union Minister Arun Jaitley has also tweeted and said that India stands vindicated. Masood Azhar is now a global terrorist. India is in safe hands. This marks a high point for the Prime Minister's foreign policy, a point that Jitendra Singh was also reiterating. That's a tweet coming in from Union Minister Arun Jaitley. Says India stands vindicated, and it marks a high point, this development, for Prime Minister's leadership. Says that Masood Azhar is now a global terrorist. India is in safe hands, referring to Prime Minister's leadership. And it says that it is Prime Minister Modi's foreign policy that played a decisive role in really bringing the international community on the same page, on the same platform, as far as condemning terrorism is concerned, as far as designated Masood Azhar as the international terrorist is concerned. That's the tweet that came in from Union Minister Arun Jaitley. Also joining me in the studio is Mr. P.K. Mishra, strategic expert. So we're looking at Twitter by Arun Jaitley, and also Jitendra Singh earlier spoke about how the leadership in India played a decisive role in making sure that the international community, particularly China, changes its stand. But before that, India's representative to the UN, Akbaruddin, is speaking.
Chairperson of the UN Sanctions Committee, the permanent representative of Indonesia, has informed us that Masood Azhar stands designated as an individual who has been promoting terrorism globally. This is, for us, a significant outcome because we have been at it for several years. The first effort that we made in this regard was in 2009. More recently, we have been persistent, diligent, and in a subterranean manner, making all our efforts towards this goal. Today, that goal stands achieved. I'm grateful to the many, many countries who were supportive of this effort. The designating states, that is USA, UK, and France. Also, several others within the Council and outside the Council who came forward without any restraints and supported this Indian effort at not tolerating a terrorist. Finally, I'd like to thank the permanent representative of Indonesia who was instrumental in ensuring that the process went smoothly and in accordance with our agreed understandings. All in all, it's been a happy day, a good day for all those who would like to pursue the approach of zero tolerance for terrorism. Thank you very much.
Representative to the United Nations, Mr. Akbaruddin, who also earlier tweeted and shared this important message about Masood Azhar being designated as the international terrorist by the UNSC. He also thanked the world community for coming together on this crucial issue. Mr. Mishra, I was talking to you about to what extent do you think India's proactive, aggressive foreign policy, action on terror and leadership are three factors responsible for the big news that we are witnessing.
Yes, it is a big news. In fact, today it is the biggest news not only in our country, all over the world. See the diplomatic victory of Mr. Modi or our Prime Minister. It's not only our country or the Indonesia who took it up. The France was there behind it, the US was there behind it, the Britain was there behind it.
And China changed its stand, which is a bigger news.
The whole of United Nations Security Council was absolutely unanimous in deciding it. This shows for the last 9 years, 9 to 10 years, the way we were fighting, it has come to its, we have achieved our goal, and its achievement has come because of Mr. Modi's foreign policy. And I also give some credit to Mrs. Sushma Swaraj, the way she took it up, and we never left it. You see, the only Balakot strike, what has happened now, from that Mr. Modi fought it very vehemently. They see his action and war against terrorism after Balakot attack. He has proved it, that what was happening at Balakot, what was happening in Bahawalpur, the whole world came to know. The whole world got united behind India for that. And of course, China had no other option. China has to also exist as a country in the world. And he just 4 times they took it up. Okay, we will help. It is very well known why China is helping Pakistan and Masood Azhar issue. That is for the CPEC and OBOR. That's okay. They have their own interest. But how far they can go? There is a limit up to which, and in Masood Azhar's case, they have to come to a conclusion to be with India. And the victory against China, it is a victory against Pakistan, and it is victory against the terrorism in the world.
Right.
The credit goes to Mr. Modi and his foreign policy.
All right. Mr. Bansal, I'd like to bring you here. Now, as Mr. Mishra just spoke about how it's been really a decade-long diplomatic struggle attempt by India to have Masood Azhar designated as the international terrorist. Now, multiple times China had vetoed and stood against the united opinion of the United Nations Security Council. What do you think really contributed? We're again coming back to this issue because it is a crucial one. What are the factors do you think that contributed to China taking a complete U-turn on the stand that it has been taking so far?
See, firstly, we must understand that this designation of Masood Azhar was being done under an act where we had to show this was actually a sanctions resolution passed against outfits which are associated with Al-Qaeda and Islamic State.
Right.
So our requirement was to prove that he is associated with Al-Qaeda or Islamic State, and that's what we were doing. And when we put it first, the China put it on technical hold, all other countries fell in line, then another technical hold, and then a veto. Then again it was the 4th time that it put it on technical hold, and that was the time when I was extremely disappointed, because I felt that China would actually fall in line, because China was realizing that this is a thing, and this was actually an open and shut case, because here was a terrorist who was released from Indian prisons by hijacking a plane in which lives were lost.
Right.
Please understand, it was in full media glare that this man was released from Indian jails and released. So his case was an open and shut case, and I think we thought that it will be, and I think China has realized that there is a huge downside for it, because if it does not support this sort of a thing, the strands that are emanating from these global terrorist outfits are actually affecting China also.
Right.
Also, it's India's successful diplomacy, because when 14 members out of 15 are supporting a particular cause, then there is enormous moral and diplomatic pressure on the country which is holding back. And that is where I think the mood that prevailed in India, where people started talking of boycotting of Chinese goods and things like that, have also contributed to a very great extent, because China realizes that India is a very, very crucial market, and at a time when it's already having a trade war with US, and for the first time in decade the Chinese foreign reserve started reducing, it would not like to aggravate that sort of a situation. So I think there are multiple factors, because China also realizes that this terror strands which are emanating from Pakistan could affect them. They also realize that India is a big market which cannot be denied. And of course, the way Indian government managed to carry the global community with it, because 14 out of 15 countries supporting it, which included Islamic country, the largest Muslim nation in the world, Indonesia, was chairing the committee and was supporting you. So that's where the point is. And you had 3 members of the permanent members of Security Council sponsoring the resolution.
Right.
So nothing could have been better. I think it is a success in all ways, which actually put enormous pressure on China.
Right,
and China had to fall in line.
All right, we'll continue this discussion. Let's once again hear what India's permanent representative to the UN had to say.
I can confirm to you, just a short while ago, the chairperson of the UN Sanctions Committee, the permanent representative of Indonesia, has informed us that Masood Azhar stands designated as an individual who has been promoting terrorism globally. This is for us a significant outcome because we have been at it for several years. The first effort that we made in this regard was in 2009. More recently, we have been persistent, diligent, and in a subterranean manner making all our efforts towards this goal. Today, that goal stands achieved. I am grateful to the many countries who were supportive of this effort. The designating states, that is USA, UK and France, also several others within the Council and outside the Council who came forward without any restraints and supported this Indian effort at not tolerating a terrorist. Finally, I'd like to thank the permanent representative of Indonesia who was instrumental in ensuring that the process went smoothly and in accordance with our agreed understandings. All in all, it's been a happy day, a good day for all those who would like to pursue the approach of zero tolerance for terrorism. Thank you very much.
That was India's ambassador to the United Nations, Syed Akbaruddin, speaking about the manner in which the international community came together to bring about this historic day when Masood Azhar has been designated as an international terrorist. Finally, it's been a decade-long struggle led by India, also by other countries, in making sure that terrorism is not divided into good and bad terrorism narrative, but the world unites against the menace. Mr. Mishra, I'll come to you in real terms. What are the actions that we can anticipate will Masood Azhar and his organization Jaish-e-Mohammed will be subjected to now?
Yes, first of all, Masood Azhar was in Indian custody in Indian jail.
That's right.
In fact, in Kandahar episode, he has gone to Pakistan, and now, of course, earlier Pakistan was like he is not well and all. Pakistan cannot deny that his presence is not there with them, like they were denying with Osama bin Laden.
Right.
Here, what will happen? He is already a culprit. There are charges. There are international. The government of India has already sent all the charges which is there against JeM Chief Masood Azhar and his involvement in Pulwama attack. So now, because he is already declared as a international global terrorist, Pakistan must go ahead immediately to apprehend him and to keep him in the jail. And with all the information and intimation and all the charges against him, what India has given to them, they should immediately start law proceedings against him and help India in sending him to India to face the trial in India. And I think from today itself we should start asking government of Pakistan and putting pressure on Pakistan to hand over Masood Azhar to India to face charges against him in Indian court. And that should be our aim. We have won in the international arena, we have won today. It's a great day for us. Another great day will come when he will be brought back to India to face the trial.
Right, Mr. Bansal, how do you respond to that? What are the possibilities of bringing Masood Azhar to the Indian soil and try him here for the crimes committed by Jaish-e-Mohammed and other terrorist links that he has had?
I have no doubt that that should be our objective, but I have serious doubts whether we'll be able to achieve that in near future, because we have seen what Pakistan government is going to do. It's not going to, it may put some overt restrictions, but you will not see Masood Azhar being put to any discomfort personally. You would initially see that he's probably, they would probably declare that he's arrested, he'll be kept in comfort, and his organization, which has already been actually was banned in Pakistan, has been functioning. So you would see that sort of thing, what is happening with Hafiz Saeed. So it will be blow hot, blow cold with Pakistan. I do not visualize Pakistan handing over Masood Azhar to us in near future easily. There is of course an issue. We have Financial Action Task Force, there is an IMF loan. So at this point of time, international community has a big stick and they can twist Pakistan's arm at this point of time, and it happens, it will be a great day.
And Rajavardhan Rathore, Union Minister, is speaking over the issue as well. We take you live.
बिल से उसको ढूंढ के लेकर निकाल करती और ऐसे जितने भी आतंकवादी हैं उनको खत्म करने की क्षमता रखती है। फर्क बिल्कुल साफ है आपके सामने। एक तरफ ऐसी पार्टी है जो कहती है कि हम धारा 370 को हटने नहीं देंगे। धारा 370 जो जड़ है कश्मीर की समस्या की, उसको हटने नहीं देंगे। हमारी पार्टी साफ साफ कहती है कि धारा 370 को हम हटा के रहेंगे। वो कहते हैं कि धारा 124 जो देश के टुकड़े टुकड़े गैंग ऐसों के ऊपर लगती है, उसको हम हटा के रहेंगे।
Union Minister Rajavardhan Rathore also sharing his thoughts on India's big diplomatic win. Mr. Mishra, I'll come to you again. Now, if we understand that getting Masood Azhar here in India to try him for the crimes that he's committed against humanity, against India through terrorism, if that idea is far-fetched for now, can we talk about the kind of attack today's decision has been on the propaganda that the Pakistan has been propagated? For every question, for every interrogation over the issue of terrorism, it says, don't tell us about terrorism, we are also fighting terrorism, we are the victims of terrorism. When a citizen of your country is designated as an international terrorist, what kind of a setback is it also for Pakistan's propaganda?
Yes, Pakistan is telling that yes, they are also fighting terrorism and they are fighting against ISIS and they are fighting against AQIS, and it's very well known to all international and all international countries that Osama bin Laden was there at Abbottabad, very close to the brigade headquarters. And it's not only...
And not just hiding, but living in a palatial house.
Absolutely, he was looked after. I agree with Mr. Alak Bansal. What will happen to Masood Azhar? Pakistan will just declare that, okay, we have taken him in custody and he will be staying in another palatial hotel. They will keep it. But as for the last 9 years we are fighting, the government of India was fighting, and we own today, we have to put pressure, both political pressure and see the pressure which Mr. Modi put about Abhinandan. It was not an easy case. Practically there was a war and Abhinandan was there, he was captured, and 24 hours we got him back. So if that particular pressure was put by Mr. Modi for Abhinandan, this case is very easy because the whole country of the world, they have declared him as an offender, and the case must start, and the case is there in India, in Indian court. We should not now lose him, and we should put both political pressure, military pressure and also financial pressure against Pakistan to come back. Pakistan is losing because of FATF about $16,000 billion per year. They are losing. They cannot just keep quiet about this. They have to hand it over.
So pressure needs to continue on Pakistan, that India must continue its diplomatic pressure. Mr. Bansal, to what extent the pressure has automatically also increased given the stand taken by China today? Do you think Pakistan would be surprised what happened today?
I think Pakistan was expecting it for last few days. In fact, Pakistani media had started forecasting that they're going to go, because the die was cast. They knew that India's diplomatic moves are working out. A large number of people, Indian journalists who had gone to Beijing, had started indicating. There were actually articles by Nitin Gokhale, etc., which said that Beijing is going to do that. So it was well known. It was only a question of when, because last few days India had put enormous pressure on China, and China was actually falling in line. And I think US also had started pressurizing China a lot, and that has happened. But what has happened is that because of this particular thing, that what Pakistani government has been selling its masses, that China is going to be helping us, is going to bail us out, they have realized that this is not happening. Now there is a FATF task force which has actually got a deadline, which has asked Pakistan to, that is going to come for review again. IMF loan is actually working, it's in the final stages.
Right.
So all these issues will put Pakistan under enormous pressure. Pakistan was trying to revive tourism in Pakistan, which will again get a big setback, because if you have a global designated terrorist roaming freely in Pakistani territory, which tourist in his right mind would like to come and visit a country like that? Yeah. So there is going to be enormous pressure, and we must ensure that this pressure is not let off till Pakistan yields. And I think that is what we are doing it, and we have successfully done it. And I have no doubts in saying that in last 5 years, diplomatically, we have achieved great success. Right. There is no doubt that we have enormous successes to our credit. Right. And the fact that China has agreed with India, forsaking its stake in Pakistan, especially when CPAC is going on and BRI is so important for President Xi Jinping, who is actually personal stakes in this particular thing, is a significant victory for Indian diplomacy. And we should not rest on our laurels. We must take it forward. We must put pressure on Pakistan so that Masood Azhar is handed over. He is prosecuted, handed over India to face further charges, because he was taken away from the jail. So what the process of law which was continuing must take its full course.
Right. So Masood Azhar being designated as an international terrorist, Mr. Mishra, I'll come to you on this aspect, leads to many milestones, this decision taken at United Nations. One of the milestones is also a big day for India-China relations. Union Minister Jitendra Singh also spoke about the manner in which diplomatic engagement has taken place at various levels, right to the top, Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Xi Jinping of China, to foreign ministers, to defense ministers. How do you see that deep, close and continuous engagement also contributed in China taking a stand that was not expected over a decade?
Yes, we never expected also this type of attitude from China to help us in this. Of course, the last 2 months, Pakistan also knew that China will come back definitely to India. But China knows that it's not Pakistan only. In Asia, if he wants to remain as #1 nation as far as this is concerned, the competition he has, it is with India. Right. India has all the capacity, technically and financially, it may, like we see anti-satellite operation. Right. Now we are also equal to that of China. They know that in Asia they cannot be #1 country, because there is another one, India, which is there. And see the market. Pakistan is not only the market. Chawar, even we have Chawar also. They know that this OBR and also this Pakistan is not the only criteria. If they will be with India, these two superpowers in Asia, they can rule. There is a possibility. It's our next door neighbor. Okay. And in fact, it is better to have a good relation with your neighbor. It may be China, it may be Pakistan also. There is nothing wrong to have a good relation, because your defense potential, like China, for the last 20 to 25 years, it kept good relation with its surrounding countries, and it continued with its defense production. We are now starting Make in India and our own defense production, which Mr. Modi has started. For that, we need definitely the best of relations, and the first and foremost thing, we should have the best of relation with China, because Xi Jinping also requires in Asia, or if he wants to remain as a superpower, he cannot bypass India. India is a big force to reckon with, and Indo-China policy, Indo-China
we're getting an input from
like before 1962.
Yeah, Mr. Anand Jha, we're getting input from him as well. Let's listen in.
शिफ्ट किया गया है इस्लामाबाद में।
देखिए, पाकिस्तान भी थोड़े दिन तक तो बहुत आदेश मानेगा, उसके बाद क्या हो सकता है, कोई किसी और को चीफ बना दे, मसूद अजहर की संस्था को नहीं, किसी और तरह से जो नया संस्था जो खुला है वहाँ साउथ इंडिया में और कोलंबो में करके उनको उन पर छोड़ दे, क्योंकि वो उनके लिए कश्मीर छोड़ना, भारत को तंग करना, भारत को हमेशा परेशान करना, ये कोई ये छोड़ने वाली बात नहीं है। उनकी मिलिट्री नहीं मारेंगे कभी, छोड़ना भी चाहे तो।
सर, in English, same question. Recently, Azhar Masood shifted to a safe house in Islamabad.
Pakistanis are also very wise. They cannot take very severe action against Azhar Masood beyond the bare minimum. But they will make sure that they through the cosmetics of it are there, and the terrorist attacks on India, or the camps which are anti-Indian to attack India and Kashmir and elsewhere, are carry on as normal. And they will now have the full backing of China to come halfway, meet India halfway and do that. So we'll have to be careful also that the Chinese put pressure on us. We must stick to our stand.
सर, आपने श्रीलंका में देखा, अजहर मसूद को बैन करने के बाद आतंकवाद की लड़ाई को लेकर इंडिया का कमिटमेंट जो है, इंडिया का डायलॉग जो है, डिप्लोमेसी जो है, वो अंतर्राष्ट्रीय मंच पर और ज़्यादा सिंसियरली सुना जाएगा, ऐसा लगता है आपको? लगता है, क्योंकि लोग बड़े प्रभावित होंगे। श्रीलंका को प्रभावित होना होगा, क्योंकि आज के अखबार में क्या मेंशन था कि उनके जो वो भारत से जो उन्हें चेतावनी मिल रही थी उसको सीरियसली नहीं लिया। ठीक बात है, तो उसका ये हालात तो अब हो लेंगे और बाकी सब दुनिया भी लेगी, क्योंकि बाकी दुनिया को भी पता चल गया होगा कि भारत की तरफ से इंटेलिजेंस बड़ा अच्छा था और खुद हम देते आए।
That was former diplomat Anand Shah giving his thoughts on this big news that has come in from the United Nations, Masood Azhar being designated as an international terrorist. Mr. Alok Bansal, let me come to you. Union Minister Jitendra Singh was also speaking about how Prime Minister's leadership was the key differentiator in bringing about this important development. How do you see India's foreign policy in the recent few years really making a difference that could not be achieved or imagined in the past 1 decade?
See, we need to understand that the significant achievement is the thaw in India-China relations. I think Prime Minister right from the beginning started realizing and started engaging with China. In fact, Chinese leader was one of the first visitors when after Prime Minister had taken place, and we had the first public reception for a Chinese leader when Xi Jinping came and was received in Ahmedabad. And we need to understand that as far as today's China is concerned, we don't have an ideological or a civilizational conflict with China. We have a border dispute which is very vexed and will take time to resolve. But if we accept this particular point, then there can be lot of movement forward as far as the two Asian neighbors are concerned. And I think if we see in last 5 years, China has on numerous occasions supported India and is moving ahead in that direction. Also, during last 5 years, you saw that every country in the world wanted to engage with India. The very fact that 3 permanent members of the UN Security Council moved this particular resolution indicated that we were visiting US was looking at us, Russia was looking at us, UK was looking at us.
Absolutely, sir. And let's also once again quickly listen into what Union Minister Rajyavardhan Rathore had to say over the issue.
मसूद अजहर को आतंकी घोषित करना, मैं आपको एक बात बताता हूं, 2014 से पहले जब अंतर्राष्ट्रीय चौपाल लगता था तो उसके अंदर भारत को बैठने नहीं दिया जाता था। भारत बाहर खड़ा होता था और जो निर्णय होता था चौपाल के अंदर वो भारत को बतलाया जाता था। लेकिन 2019 के अंदर जब अंतर्राष्ट्रीय चौपाल लगता है तो भारत के बगैर उस चौपाल में चर्चा नहीं हो सकती। ये ताकत है भारत की आज।
That was Union Minister Rajyavardhan Rathore addressing the people. And time for some final comments, gentlemen. What does it really mean for India's international stature? We saw UAE inviting India to Islamic Nations Congregation, to India providing important inputs to Sri Lanka as far as the deadly terror attack that took place. Masood Azhar being designated as an international terrorist, what does it mean for India? Your final thoughts, gentlemen.
I can well tell you that all these incidents which have happened, the Sri Lanka attack and Pulwama attack and all these things, and particularly the presence of AQIS and the ISIS in Indian subcontinent, everything, if you want to take it all together, the action and the interest and initiative taken by Mr. Modi and Government of India in this respect, particularly against this terrorism in the world, taking into account of Pulwama attack recently, it is definitely praiseworthy, and we got the help of most of the countries of the world. Now the last China is also with India.
All
this
right,
is
Mr.
a
Bansal,
diplomatic victory for India.
Mr. Bansal, your final thoughts.
See, it's a big diplomatic victory, and it will put Pakistan on the corner, and we will see, in fact, this shows that terrorists who have taken shelter outside, and they know that they are not safe, and the global community is against it. And it's a big diplomatic victory for India that China has fallen in line and has taken a stance against Pakistan. So it's a big day for India, and I think this shows that Indian diplomacy is on the ascendancy, and India's stature as a global power is rising.
All right, there, gentlemen, let me thank you both for joining us for this very engaging discussion on this big day that is there for India and all the nations and the people who share India's thoughts about the stand against the global menace of terrorism. Masood Azhar, after a decade-long wait, has been designated as an international terrorist by the United Nations. And no, China did not object this time. We'll continue to engage with this crucial issue in our later bulletins as well. But for now, we'll conclude.